Vietnam's entertainment industry may look glamorous on the surface, but behind the lights and smiles lie stories that have shaken the public to its core. From leaked videos and shocking arrests, to emotional meltdowns and international investigations, some scandals have left permanent marks on the careers and lives of the stars involved. These are not just tabloid headlines, but real moments when fame collided with controversy. In this video, we'll take you through 10 of the most unforgettable scandals in Vietnamese showbiz history. If you enjoy stories that go beyond the stage, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more. Hoang Thuy Linh's leaked private video was unlike anything Vietnamese showbiz had ever faced before. In 2007, she was the face of a new generation, the star of Vang On's Diary, a wildly popular teen television series seen as the Vietnamese version of Dawson's Creek. She played the perfect high school girl, smart, modest, and full of life. Parents saw her as a role model for their children. But all of that shattered overnight when a private sex video of her and her boyfriend was leaked online. Within hours, it spread like wildfire through forums, emails, and even phone shops where it was downloaded and passed around on USB drives. Vietnam's internet culture was just beginning to bloom, and this was its first major casualty. Public reaction was swift and unforgiving. There were no shades of gray in the commentary. People were either furious, shocked, or deeply disappointed. The backlash wasn't just on the internet. Parents demanded the show be canceled. Newspapers published outraged editorials. The Ministry of Culture got involved, and within days, Vang On's Diary was taken off the air permanently. It was as if the country's moral code had been violated by one girl's private mistake. For Hoang Thuy Linh, it was a devastating fall. She disappeared from the public eye, retreating into silence, as tabloids dissected every detail of the video and her personal life. Her career was considered over, and few expected her to ever return. But years later, she did something that no one thought possible. She came back. Not as the innocent girl next door, but as a fierce, confident woman who owned her past and refused to be defined by it. Her transformation into a pop icon, with hit songs, bold music videos, and a fearless attitude, became a symbol of resilience. She never denied what had happened, but she didn't let it stop her. In many ways, her comeback helped open conversations in Vietnam about privacy, victim blaming, and the power of reinvention. Hiep Ga's drug arrest in 2007 was another shocking moment that shook the entertainment world. Known for his quirky, lovable roles in comedy shows on national television, Hiep Ga was a household name. His face was familiar across Vietnam, often seen cracking jokes on sketch programs and holiday specials. That's why, when the news broke that he had been arrested for heroin possession, most people couldn't believe it. The image of him in handcuffs, being escorted by police, was hard to reconcile with the goofy comedian fans had grown up watching. The arrest didn't just reveal that he had been using drugs. It also uncovered a darker side of his life, one filled with personal struggles and financial issues. Hiep Ga later admitted that he had been dealing with depression and anxiety and had turned to drugs as an escape, but sympathy was in short supply. At the time, Vietnamese society held harsh views on drug use, especially among public figures. He was quickly blacklisted from television, and producers rushed to cut ties with him. Comedy shows stopped airing his segments, and he was wiped from the entertainment landscape in a matter of weeks. His fall from grace was particularly painful because of how beloved he had been. Unlike many celebrities who faded quietly after scandals, Hiep Ga tried to come back multiple times. He gave interviews, appeared in minor roles, and even tried to rebrand himself. But the shadow of his drug conviction followed him everywhere. He became more of a cautionary tale than a star. To this day, his name is often brought up in conversations about fame gone wrong, especially when younger celebrities make similar mistakes. Dan Truong, accused of scamming a Vietnamese American ex, was a scandal that played out like a soap opera, filled with money, betrayal, and messy public statements. In 2013, Dan Truong was at the height of his stardom. He had been a teen idol in the early 2000s, famous for his angelic face, romantic ballads, and squeaky clean reputation. So when a Vietnamese American woman named Dung Taylor stepped forward, accusing him of emotionally manipulating her and borrowing large sums of money under false promises, the public was stunned. She didn't just make vague claims. She brought receipts, emails, bank transfers, even screenshots of their conversations. According to her, Dan Truong had pursued a romantic relationship with her while simultaneously planning a wedding with another woman. She said he led her on, promised they had a future, and convinced her to lend him money for his career. When she realized he had used her, she went public. Her story caught fire online, dominating gossip columns and social media for weeks. Dan Truong's initial response was denial. His management claimed it was a misunderstanding and that the money was a gift, not a loan. But the damage was done. The image of Dan Truong as a soft-spoken gentleman shattered. Fans were divided. Some stood by him, claiming he was being extorted. Others were angry, saying he had taken advantage of a devoted fan's trust. His soon-to-be wife also became part of the media circus, defending him in interviews while critics questioned her judgment. What made this scandal especially messy was how public it became. Unlike other celebrity breakups or private lawsuits, this was a full-blown media war. Each side released statements, screenshots, and even voice recordings to defend their narrative. The scandal dragged on for months, and even though Dan Truong wasn't formally charged with any crime, his reputation suffered. His concerts saw lower attendance, brand endorsements dried up, and his Prince of Love songs image faded into the background. Eventually, the drama cooled down, and Dan Truong managed to resume his career, though never quite at the same level. He still performs, still has fans, but there's always that asterisk next to his name, an unspoken reminder of how quickly a perfect public image can unravel when private truths come to light. Angela Phuong Trinh's controversial teen years marked one of the most turbulent image shifts in modern Vietnamese entertainment. She started off as a child actress, beloved for her roles in family dramas and youth-oriented TV series. Her early performances earned praise for maturity and emotional depth, making her one of the most promising young stars in Vietnam. But as she entered her teenage years, her career took a sharp and unexpected turn. At an age when most of her peers were still in school uniforms, Angela began posting bold and suggestive photos on social media. Her outfits were provocative, her makeup heavy, and her captions often laced with flirtatious language. Fans were confused, critics outraged, and the media couldn't look away. The controversy escalated when she publicly dated much older men, including a rumored relationship with a wealthy businessman decades older than her. She flaunted gifts, cars, and luxury vacations, all while insisting she was mature enough to make her own decisions. Her statements to the press only poured gasoline on the fire. She claimed she wanted to be sexy and successful, and didn't care what society thought. For conservative Vietnamese audiences, it was too much, too fast. The backlash was fierce. TV stations distanced themselves. Major magazines that once featured her stopped inviting her to events. Many accused her of setting a bad example for young girls, saying she was glamorizing a lifestyle based on money and appearance. But Angela didn't back down. In fact, she leaned into the attention. She began to treat the media like a performance space, turning every scandal into a headline. For a while, it worked. Her name stayed in the news, and she remained relevant in a highly competitive industry. However, the cost was high. Casting directors stopped offering her serious roles, and her acting career stalled. She eventually announced she would take a break from entertainment to pursue a more spiritual life, focusing on charity and self-development. While her name still triggers debate, her story is often brought up as a symbol of what happens when early fame meets unchecked ambition and the harsh glare of public scrutiny. Huong Tram, banned from performing after lying, was another case that raised questions about integrity in the entertainment business. After winning the first season of The Voice Vietnam, Huong Tram was hailed as a breakout star. Her voice was powerful, her stage presence natural, and her future looked incredibly bright. But just a year after her victory, she became the center of a controversy that began with what seemed like a simple scheduling issue. She had sent a formal request to the Department of Performing Arts asking to cancel an official performance, citing health reasons. However, it was later discovered that on the same day she was supposed to rest, she had accepted a separate commercial gig for better pay. The discovery sparked outrage among organizers and government officials, who saw her action as not only unprofessional, but also disrespectful to the arts community. The department decided to ban her from performing for a period of time. That kind of punishment was rare, and it sent shockwaves through the music industry. Hoang Tram's team tried to defend her, blaming poor communication and a misunderstanding between her management and the event organizers. But the damage was already done. The story hit headlines and the public weighed in. Some fans defended her, saying she was young and still learning how to manage fame. Others said she had let success get to her head. In interviews that followed, Huong Tram expressed regret but also frustration. She hinted that behind-the-scenes pressures had led to poor decisions. She was only in her early 20s at the time, still trying to navigate contracts, obligations, and the expectations of being a star. Still, the industry's trust in her was shaken. Event organizers hesitated to book her. Sponsors pulled back, and for a moment, it seemed like she might not recover. But she eventually made a slow and steady comeback, releasing a string of emotional ballads that reconnected her with audiences. Her voice remained her greatest weapon, and it helped her regain the goodwill of fans. Yet, even with her success, the ban is still remembered as a turning point. A reminder that one misstep, especially in public, can change everything. Thu Minh's husband, accused of business fraud, brought a different kind of scandal, one that blended showbiz and high-stakes finance. Thu Minh, a powerhouse vocalist known for her energetic performances and strong vocals, had built an image of wealth and success. She often appeared in designer clothes, drove luxury cars, and spoke confidently about empowering women. Her marriage to Otto, a foreign businessman, only reinforced her image as a woman who had it all. But in 2016, that picture began to crack when multiple Vietnamese business partners accused Otto of fraud. According to reports, Otto had entered contracts with wood suppliers in Vietnam, promising payments for large quantities of high-quality lumber, but allegedly failed to deliver the money as promised. The suppliers claimed they were left with huge financial losses and no way to collect. What made the scandal explode was that many of these business people believed Thu Minh's celebrity status had helped secure their trust in the deals. They argued that her presence at meetings and events was a form of indirect endorsement. Some even accused her of being more involved than she admitted. Thu Minh immediately went on the defensive. She released statements saying she had no knowledge of her husband's business activities and should not be held responsible for his actions. In interviews, she stressed that she was an artist, not a business partner. But skepticism lingered. People pointed to her lavish lifestyle, questioning whether it was funded by questionable dealings. Online forums buzzed with speculation. Media outlets tracked down every connection between Otto's failed deals and Thu Minh's public appearances. As the scandal dragged on, it became clear that the court of public opinion would not easily let go. Even though no criminal charges were brought against her, and even though Otto maintained that the accusations were false or exaggerated, the stain on her image was undeniable. Thu Minh kept performing, But the mood around her had changed. She was no longer just a pop diva. She was a symbol of how fame and finance can collide in messy, unpredictable ways. The scandal forced her to retreat from the spotlight for a time, choosing to work more quietly and avoid high-profile public appearances. For many fans, it was a jarring reminder that the glamorous world of Vietnamese showbiz often hides deeper, more complicated truths beneath the surface. Tung M-TP's plagiarism allegations and controversial MVs were not just fleeting internet gossip. They became some of the most discussed topics in Vietnamese pop culture for nearly a decade. Tung rose to fame with lightning speed, armed with catchy melodies, stylish visuals, and a cool, detached persona that younger audiences loved. But along with his rapid success came serious scrutiny. From the beginning, several of his songs were accused of sounding too similar to popular K-pop tracks. Producers and internet users began making side-by-side comparisons, pointing out striking similarities in melodies, beats, and even arrangements. His breakout hit Em Quang Gai Hom Qua was one of the first to face this kind of criticism, and others followed: Jack I, Jo Se Ve, Lac Troy, and more. With each release, there were whispers and sometimes full-on debates about whether the music was truly original. Tung and his team largely stayed silent. At times, they issued brief statements denying any wrongdoing, saying the similarities were coincidental or that they had received proper permissions. But the court of public opinion remained divided. Supporters argued that all pop music borrows ideas and that Tung's charisma and production quality outweighed any minor resemblances. Critics, however, saw him as a symbol of superficial fame, someone benefiting from the creativity of others without giving proper credit. The tension reached a peak in 2022 when Tung released There's No One at All, his first full English single. The music video, slick and moody, followed a lonely character wandering through the city and ultimately leaping from a rooftop. It was meant to be artistic and emotional, but the public reaction was immediate outrage. Mental health advocates, educators, and government agencies slammed the video for allegedly romanticizing suicide. The Ministry of Information quickly stepped in and ordered the video removed. Within a day, it was gone from YouTube, and Tung issued an apology. This was the first time he was forced to publicly admit fault. The apology was carefully worded, but many still felt it lacked depth. Some praised him for trying to tackle darker, more emotional themes. Others said he had crossed a line. The scandal became a turning point in his career. While his fame remained strong, the invincibility surrounding his image had cracked. He was no longer just the golden boy of Vietnamese music. He was now an artist whose every move would be examined under a microscope. Nam M's emotional breakdowns and romantic drama in 2018 blurred the line between real life and reality television. Except everything happened live and unfiltered. Nam M was a beauty queen, actress, and rising celebrity, known for her sweet smile and soft-spoken demeanor. But that image took a dramatic turn when she began publicly talking about her supposed romantic relationship with comedian Truong. At first, people weren't sure what to believe. The two had never confirmed anything officially, and Truong was in a public relationship with actress Nhe Phuong. Then, Nam M started posting emotional videos and live streams late at night, tearfully recalling her time with Truong. She said she was heartbroken, betrayed, and unable to move on. She cried on camera, sang love songs in the dark, and even shared cryptic messages about her emotional state. The media picked it up immediately. Viewers were glued to her social media channels, wondering what she would say next. Some people sympathized with her, seeing her as a young woman who had fallen in love with the wrong person and couldn't let go. Others thought she was seeking attention, exploiting heartbreak to stay in the spotlight. Things spiraled even further when Nam M was involved in a minor car accident. Rumors swirled that she had been emotionally unstable while driving. She didn't deny it, and that only added more fuel to the story. Truong, for his part, stayed mostly quiet. His team issued a vague statement asking for privacy. Nay Phuong, meanwhile, was silent, but later posted emotional messages of her own, leading fans to speculate that the relationship had been strained behind the scenes. Eventually, the couple did get back together and even got married, but the entire situation left a bad taste. Nam M's reputation was left in limbo. She tried to clarify her actions later, saying she had suffered from mental health issues and felt abandoned by the industry and the people around her. She admitted she wasn't okay at the time and regretted turning her pain into a public performance. Her vulnerability earned her some compassion, but many doors in showbiz quietly closed. Casting offers dried up. Variety shows stopped inviting her. She became known less for her work and more for the breakdown that everyone had witnessed in real time. It was a powerful example of how fame can magnify emotional pain, turning private heartbreak into national entertainment. Jack, J97, accused of abandoning secret child and cheating, was a scandal that cut straight through the clean image he had built since leaving his old group and launching a solo career. Jack had gone from an underground name to a national sensation in just a few short years. His songs topped charts, his fan base exploded, and he was seen as one of the most promising young artists in Vietnam. But in 2021, all of that came crashing down when a young woman came forward claiming that Jack had fathered a child with her and completely walked away from any responsibility. The woman, later revealed to be Tien An, was a former co-star from one of his music videos. She said they had been in a relationship that Jack wanted to keep secret. After she became pregnant, he allegedly asked her to stay silent and promised to provide financial support, something she claimed he failed to do properly. Even more shocking was her claim that Jack had been involved with several women at the same time, lying to each of them. She posted evidence, including messages and receipts, to support her story. The public backlash was swift and brutal. Jack's fan base, once fiercely loyal, was suddenly divided. Some defended him, saying it was a private matter. But many turned their backs on him, outraged by what they saw as blatant irresponsibility and manipulation. Brands cut ties, concert organizers dropped him. Social media, once filled with his admirers, turned cold overnight. Jack stayed silent for days before finally posting a written apology on Facebook. He admitted to mistakes, but avoided addressing the most serious allegations directly. Critics called the apology vague and insincere. Fans noticed that he didn't once mention the child. The silence spoke volumes. His image as a sensitive, romantic singer no longer held up. He was now seen as careless, selfish, and dishonest. Though he attempted to make a comeback later with new songs and appearances, the damage was already done. The scandal didn't just hurt his career, it reshaped how people viewed him entirely. In the world of Vietnamese pop, where image and morality still carry heavy weight, Jack's downfall became one of the clearest examples of how personal missteps can instantly erase years of hard-earned success. Ho Hawaii An and Hoang Dang investigated in Spain was the kind of scandal that stopped the Vietnamese entertainment world in its tracks. In July 2022, news broke that two well-known Vietnamese artists had been detained in Spain in connection with an alleged sexual assault involving a 17-year-old British girl. The names weren't immediately released by Spanish authorities, but the Vietnamese press and online communities quickly pieced things together. Within hours, fingers pointed toward musician Ho Hawaii An and actor Hoang Dang, who had both been posting photos from their vacation in Europe just days before. The shock was enormous. Both men were respected public figures. Ho Hawaii An was a celebrated composer and music producer, often seen as a mentor on talent shows. Hoang Dang had become a household name through countless TV dramas, where he played thoughtful, loyal, romantic leads. The idea that these two men, known for their clean, professional images, might be involved in such a serious crime was unthinkable. Though details from Spanish authorities remained limited due to the nature of the case and the age of the alleged victim, Vietnamese media had already exploded. The Ministry of Culture confirmed that the two were in Spain and were cooperating with the investigation. Meanwhile, their employers took swift action. Vietnam Television, VTV, removed Hoang Dang's scenes from current broadcasts. Concerts, music projects, and public appearances were canceled. Neither of the men made direct public statements at the time, and their families remained silent. Weeks later, the Spanish legal system concluded its investigation and decided not to press charges. Both men were allowed to return to Vietnam. Officially, the case was closed. But by then, the damage to their reputations had already been done. In the eyes of many, even the suggestion of guilt was enough to leave a lasting scar. Public opinion remained divided. Some believed in their innocence. Others felt the silence and secrecy were too suspicious. Despite being cleared legally, neither Ho Hoai An nor Hoang Dang returned to their careers right away. The scandal had made them radioactive in an industry where image is everything. What began as a vacation abroad ended in career collapse. And for many observers, the case served as a harsh reminder that fame offers no protection when scandal strikes. Scandals may come and go, but some leave a lasting imprint on an entire generation. The names involved may eventually return to the spotlight or fade away forever, but the stories remain as reminders of how quickly everything can fall apart. Whether they were caused by personal mistakes, public pressure, or something much darker, each of these moments pulled back the curtain on the reality of stardom in Vietnam. If this video gave you a new perspective on the industry, drop a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe for more true stories from behind the scenes.